Hey, good day everyone. So this would be our supplemental video for the topic fittings and connections. So this would hopefully help you during the time that you are reviewing, or even during the time that you want to study on your own pace yung ating topic ng fittings and connections. Uh, Again, this would be better if you have your own copy ng ating reference. So in this particular case, this would be Broom para masundan nyo rin yung flow na meron tayo from the reference itself. Okay, so I will try to explain a little deeper yung ating topics para din mas mag-gets natin yung mga idea behind the topic natin, which is fittings and connections. So we have, very always remember, instead of using a complete unit of the same material, ibig sabihin, realistically speaking, alam natin na hindi tayo makakapag ah, makakapag-manufacture, makakapag-manufacture ng isang napakaling aircraft structure. So, alam natin, there are many cases or there are many reasons bakit hindi tayo pwedeng mag-manufacture ng isang complete unit ng mga aircraft structures. Mostly because it's very, very big ang ating aircraft structures. Pangalawa, wala naman din tayong alam na ng mga manufacturers na kaya gumawa or manufacture ng isang napakaling aircraft as a whole. So kaya kailangan natin ng connections, fittings and connections. So we also that is one of the reasons kung bakit kaya meron tayong fittings and connections. Diba? But the other thing is hindi naman kasi lahat ng material ng aircraft ay makakapag-withstand ng iba't ibang klaseng or rather sobrang matibay na material na lahat ng stresses ay na na withstand niya. So we have the idea that we want to know kung ano yung purpose ng isang material para yun yung material na gagamitin mo for that particular stress. Ibig sabihin, iba't ibang material ang meron sa isang body or isang structure. Kaya hindi tayo pwede na mag-manufacture ng isang, sabihin na natin, let's just say, sabihin na natin na merong 3D printer ng isang metal. Meron na tayong ngayong technology na gano'n. Pero in that particular case, kasi is gagamit ka lang ng isang material, which is not very true for our aircraft structures kasi meron tayong iba't ibang material na specified for a purpose. But depending nga dun sa stress at sa loads na mararamdaman niya. So, kaya pa rin, meron pa rin tayong idea ng fittings and connections. Okay? Meron kang iba't ibang material na i-connect with each other, which in turn, maraming structures na i-connect with each other. Yun nga. We have also the idea ng mga bolts and rivets or the connections itself is napakadami sa isang aircraft. Mostly sa isang aircraft na big aircrafts, possible na aabot ng millions of connections and fittings mo. So, kaya we will need to understand na na magiging important role ang ang meron tayo sa dun sa pag-intindi na idea ng structural design ng fittings. So first, we want to understand is what we can understand first is kung bakit nga ba natin kailangan intindihin yung fittings and connections. Bakit ba natin siya kailangan intindihin? In a way, sir, hindi ba yan like, i-connect mo lang eh. Makakonect na yan basta-basta. Firstly, structurally speaking, of course, kailangan natin malaman kung ano yung load na intindihin niya. Pero the other side of things is of course the economy or the business side. Okay. Economy and fitting design, of course, the main goal of a structural design engineering is to use the least number of fittings in a structure, particularly those fitting connecting members that carry large loads. So before we go on to that economy, yung isa-isahin natin yan, first, what we need to understand is, bakit ba natin kailangan i-lessen yung least number fittings? Sir, hindi ba mas matibay kapag mas madami? Of course, mas matibay pag mas madami. But, there is something as sobra na. Pangalawa, sa aircraft structures, we all know gusto natin pagkainin siya kasi mas onti yung mas onti yung bigat na iaangat mo. So as I said earlier, if ever there are some big aircraft na umaabot ng millions, or not even millions, hundred thousands, isipin mo na lang kung gaano karami yung bigat na masasave mo if a fraction of a weight is matatanggal mo. Okay? Sa fittings and connections lang to. So, yun yung idea. Kaya gusto natin na ma-lessen natin or gumamit tayo ng least number of fittings. Okay? So in a wing structure, firstly pala, in a wing structure splicing, the main beam flanges or introducing fittings near the center line of the airplane are far more costly than splices or fittings placed farther outboard where the members and loads are considerably smaller. So to explain this stuff, okay, this part, isipin nyo na lang, for example, you have a wing. So sabi naman nga dyan, wing, isang application na ito. If you have fittings na nandun ka sa malapit sa center line, or in a way, sabihin natin yung connections na malapit dun sa fuselage, di ba? If ever maglalagay ka ng maraming splicing dun, alam mo na yung from the center line papunta dun sa span mo, ang dami mo pang i-consider na weight, di ba? Kumbaga, mag-consider ka na ng isang buong malaking part ng wing mo bago ka maglagay ng maraming splicing. Pag magka-cut ka, if ever you have cuts, is dun ka maglagay mas malayo sa center line mo kasi mas onti yung iintindihin mo na weight nung matitirang part ng wings. So if ever gusto mo magputol ng splices sa wings, ilagay mo siya malapit sa wing tip. Okay? So yun yung idea kasi mas onti yung iintindihin mo na weight, in turn mas onti or magiging mas efficient yung splices or in a way fittings mo. So next, we have avoid changes in the direction of a heavy member such as wing beams and fuselage longerons as this involve heavy fittings. So of course, we have wing beams and fuselage longerons which is a major part ng structure natin, yung mga connections natin. So if you have, for example, a wing beam again, yung wing beam natin, mostly ang connections niyan is of course from spar to spar, pwedeng spar to spar, or most probably, sabihin natin yung longitudinal, rather lateral axis mo, ibig sabihin from wingspan to wingspan, yung axis na yun yung dadaluyan ng spar mo, for example. Ngayon, yung connection mo ng spar dun sa fuselage mo should be the same dun sa lateral axis mo. Diba? Ngayon, if you need changes dun sa connection ng spars mo, alam mo yung heavy members mo is along the lateral axis. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, karamihan ng load na i-carry nung wing beam mo, for example, same example kanina, karamihan nun longitudinal or rather lateral. Lateral. Wing span to span. Okay? Lateral siya. So, mas maganda na yung mga longerons mo or rather fittings mo should be with the same direction. Pare-parehas. Okay? Na lateral siya. Kasi yun yung heavy loads na i-carry niya. Kaya sinasabi din dyan na avoid changes. Hindi naman sinasabing ililimit mo lang sa lateral lang yung nagiging directions ng connections ng wing beams mo. Of course, there will be some na kailangan mo siya in the other axis. So, again, i-avoid mo lang siya. Okay? Kasi yun yung purpose ng fittings na yun to a certain degree. Dun lang siya sa direction na yun. So, next, we have, if joints are necessary in a continuous beam, place them near the points of inflection in order that the bending moment to be transferred to the joint be kept of small magnitude. So if you remember the idea of points of inflection, so ang points of inflection natin is yung point natin, balikan natin na onti yung ating algebra, rather analytic geometry, yung curve natin, wait, draw na lang. So if we have a curve, tapos, yan. So usually, curve natin ng mga lines yan, yung point natin na, ito, yung point natin na mag-iiba yung concavity mo So, sabihin natin ito pataas, galing sa taas, pababa, tas ito pababa naman. So, yung point mo na mag-iiba yung concavity mo, yun yung point of inflection mo. Okay? So, in that case, that is usually nasa gitna nung dalawang maxima mo. Okay? So, ganun yung idea. Bakit? Kasi yung point of inflection mo, yung dun ka may least point na forces mo. So, in a way, malilest mo yung bending moments. So, next, we have in column design with efficiency, avoid eccentricities on the beam, and on the other hand, make use of the fitting to increase column efficiency, thus compensating some of the weight increase due to fitting weight by saving the weight of the beam. So, if you remember the idea of our efficiency during the discussion ng mechanics of deformable bodies, alamin natin kung ano yung main purpose ng either beam natin or yung kinoconnect natin, pwedeng column or beam nga. Inaalam natin kung it should freely rotate, di ba? Kung pwede siyang mag-roll. So, aalamin mo kung pwede yung fitting mo, di ba? Yung fitting mo mismo could act as a pin. Pwedeng, for example, a pin. Pwedeng mag-rotate siya. Di ka lang mag-move. So, that is the point of this statement na alamin mo para ma-save mo yung weight ng beam if kaya na malilesen yung ating weight sa beam natin. The next is poor layout of major fitting arrangement may require very expensive tools and jigs for shop fabrication assembly. So the idea here is firstly sabihin natin poor layout of major fittings arrangement. Pag sinabi natin ganoon, typically accessibility. Mayroon tayong term na accessibility. Kapag poor yung layout ng fitting arrangement mo, kasi i-connect mo siya eh. Diba? I-connect mo siya. So, it would mean dapat accessible siya nung yung gagawa, yung technician mo. Pangalawa is yung sa customizability idea na if ever poor yung layout mo, meron tayong tinatawag na standards. So, yung layout mo, sabihin natin wala sa standard, in a way, kailangan mo ng customized jigs. Okay? Kaya siya sinasabi, customized tools and jigs na that would be within your layout na way. So, yun yung idea na kailangan alam mo yung magiging layout mo would be efficient at the same time tama na papasok or kaya siyang i-assemble within standards. Okay? Then, lastly, we have fittings likewise add considerably to the cost of inspection and rejections of costly fittings because of faulty workmanship or materials are quite frequent, thus adding greatly to the unit cost. So, going back, alam natin na yung fittings is medyo madami. Okay? So, mostly these connections would be very, diba? Sabihin natin palaging inaayos. Ibig sabihin, ito yung laging kino-consider natin na nagkakaroon ng damage. Okay? Kasi fittings natin is usually dahil sa magkaibang material, pwede nagkakaroon tayo ng damage dito, corrosive damages, or even dahil dito tayo in a way, dito tayo may butas, so dito tayo nagkakaroon ng chemical reactions, di ba? So in turn, nagkakaroon ng corrosion, and also, this is one of the structural parts na critical kasi ito yung mga unang possible na masira. Okay? So ngayon, if ever mali or mahirap yung fittings na mayroon tayo sa design natin, mahirap siya inspect. At the same time, nagkakaroon tayo ng rejections dun sa design, which is nagiging costly nga yung fittings kasi una is yung workmanship mo is or technicians mo mas kailangan ng more training kasi yung meron kang standards na kailangan sundin sa fittings, di ba? So kailangan nating ayusin or rather within standards yung fittings design natin na in a way madali siyang ayusin or madali siyang i-repair. Okay? Yun yung kadalasan na iniintindi rin natin sa structural design actually. Na kailangan yung design natin is una, madaling i-assemble or rather madaling i-manufacture. Pangalawa is also madali siyang i-repair para hindi tayo masyadong mapapagastos kung kailangan man natin siyang ayusin ulit or repair. So, yun yung idea na kailangan iniintindi rin natin during our design. Then, next, we have yung fitting design loads. Okay, fitting design loads. The minimum margin of safety. So, the structure must have a sufficient strength to carry ultimate design loads without failure. So, kailangan nga natin pasok tayo. Okay? Kaya tayo nagkakaroon ng idea ng factor of safety. In a way, yung design loads natin. If you remember, applied loads multiplied by the factor of safety is our design loads. So, para malesen natin yung failure natin in most cases, naglalagay tayo ng factor of safety. So, that is a general rule for aviation. So, in our general rule for aviation, we have been using 1.5, the factor of safety. So, normal flight vehicles structure includes many parts. So, again, nagkakaroon tayo ng connections or fittings and connections nga. Ngayon, the idea na dadagdagan may factor of safety for fittings is because, you could imagine, general structure lang muna tayo in aviation. Sabihin natin meron tayong dalawang beam na gusto natin i-connect with each other. Okay? Pag nag-connect ka ng dalawang beam with each other, yung dalawang beam na yon ay separately manufactured pero buo sila, solid sila. Ngayon, kung magko-connect ka sa kanila ng fittings, sabi natin, meron kang connection in the particular two beams, i-connect mo sila, connect natin sila. Ngayon, yung connection na yun, if you apply a load na masisira, sabi natin enough to have the assembly be failed, okay? Malamang sa malamang, unang masisira dyan is yung fittings and connections. Bakit? You will always consider kasi pa yung size ng fittings, at the same time yung materials na gagamit mo dun sa fittings. Unlike pag dun sa dalawang solid na member na kinoconnect mo with each other. Kasi yon ay connected na eh. Yung buong member mo ay manufacture siya ng isang buo. Which is, in turn, kaya niyang mag-withstand ng more force compared dun sa fittings or yung sa connections na meron ka, which is maliliit eh. Okay? Kaya meron tayong tinatawag na additional blanket factor of safety. Kumbaga, dadagdagan mo pa yung meron kang factor of safety para dun sa fittings mo. Kasi alam mo, yung connections ng fittings mo is most probably mas mauunang masira compared dun sa mga ibang members mo. Okay? We have here na additional blanket factor of safety. So, yung factor of safety na yon or yung blanket factor of safety na yon is normally 1.15 to 1.2. So, the general rule that we will be using in our subject is yung 1.15, that is yung para sa military, okay? And then 1.2 para sa civil. Okay? Idea there is 1.2 bakit? 1.2 sa civil kasi mas maraming ang tao. Still, lagi naman tayo dun sa tao eh. Mas maraming tao sa civil as compared dun sa military, which is unfortunately mas konti. And the same time, si military is mas conscious usually sa weight niya. Kasi high speeds to eh. Usually high speeds and iilan lang naman or yung kinoconsider. Again, that's the general idea kung bakit military and civil is naka-separate dun sa additional blanket factor of safety natin. So the stress analysis of most connections or fittings is more complicated than for the primarily structural members due to factors as combined stresses, stress concentration, bolt hole tightness, etc. Thus, the additional factor of safety is necessary to give similar degree of strength reliability for connections as provided in the strength design of the members being connected. So yun naman yung in-explain ko kanina. Okay. So next we have we have here three common bolts that we use. So we have first yung hexagon head. Okay. So sa hexagon head, It's stated there that hexagon head bolt is an Army Navy standard bolt made of SIE 2030 with a 3.5% nickel steel. So it is heat treated. So the bolt head is of sufficient size to develop the full tensile strength of the bolt. So mostly used for general applications involving tension or shear. So bakit? Let me explain lang na ang hexagon head kasi sige pakita na natin yung buong videos para ma-explain ko further. So if you could see yung tatlong most common, this is the three standard most common used bolts natin for for aircrafts. So makikita nyo yung head nitong hexagon head is mostly distributed. Equal siya all yung thickness ng head natin, so ito yung thickness, is equal all throughout. Unlike sa clevis na medyo rounded siya, and sa internal wrenching naman na wala tayong masyadong kapit. So, if you remember, pag tinukoy natin yung tension or full tensile strength ng bolt, strength ng bolt, pinag-uusapan natin dyan is yung capacity niya na ma-extend sa kanyang longitudinal axis. Okay? Kasi syempre meron kang bolt or rudder nut dito na magka-connect dun sa fittings mo. So, pag ito, inikot mo ng inikot hanggat sumikip siya, in a way, i-extend mo or ilalagay mo yung hexagon head mo or yung bolt mo into a tensile stress kasi ma-expand siya or mahahatak siya nung nut mo. Kasi yun naman ang idea ng nuts mo, di ba? To lock it. So ngayon, mapapansin nyo na sinasabi dyan na pwede natin gamitin yung hexagon head for a para magamit yung full tensile strength ng bolt kasi yung head nga niya is may kakapitan ka as compared to internal wrenching na napakaliit nung kapit. At the same time, yung head mo mismo, okay, yung head mo mismo dito is makapal all throughout as compared naman sa clevis. Okay? Kaya sinasabi dito, general applications to, usually general applications sa hexagon head kasi most parts of our aircraft is or most bolts natin, rather all bolts natin involve tension and shear. Okay? Lahat yan. Kasi yung tension mo, of course, dahil dun sa locking mechanism ng nut mo. And of course, yung shear loads mo is galing dun sa mga kinokonek mo kasi nagkokonek ka nga. So, kaya general use natin usually is hexagon head. Okay? Si internal wrenching naman is a high strength steel bolt. The head of the internal wrenching bolt is recessed to allow the insertion of an internal wrench when installing or removing the bolt. It is especially suitable for main splice fittings because of its high strength and relatively small space required for the bolt head. So the idea here is usually main splices nga siya ginagamit kasi marami yung tolerance niya kasi manipis lang siya eh. Yung head niya manipis compared dito. At the same time, internal yung kanyang pag-connect as compared sa hexagon. Tapos clevis naman, usually screwdriver yan, di ba? So, sa internal wrenching, manipis yung kailangan mong tool in a way. Manipis yung kailangan mong tool, kaya pwede siya sa mga tight spaces. At the same time, as I said kanina, manipis yung head niya. Pwede kang maraming internal wrenching bolt na gamitin for main splicing. Kasi pwede siyang halos magkakadikit-dikit kasi yung head niya is manipis. Okay? Then lastly, we have our clevis bolt. So si clevis bolt has slotted brazier type head and it's referred to as a shear bolt because of its head is not designed to develop the full tensile strength of the bolt. So as I said nga kanina, hindi mo masyadong magagamit yung full tensile strength nito compared dito. Okay? Then clevis bolt is usually used when a group or cluster of bolts is required to transfer load by shear loads on the bolt. And the smaller bolt heads thus save weight and provide greater bolt clearance head. In a way, ito yung pinakamanipis. Okay? Isa sa mga pinakamanipis sa head natin. Tapos may mga clearance nga siya. So kasi maliit yung bolt head niya. Ngayon, sinasabi dyan na yung ating ginagamit for usually the load na in-encounter ni shear or ni clevis is shear loads. So, paano natin nasabi yon na matibay siya sa shear loads, if you could see, yung kapal niya, nung kapal nito, sabihin natin almost the same scaling yan eh. Sabihin natin scaling niya pare-parehas yung tatlong bolts natin. Mapapansin nyo, yung kapal nito, as compared dun sa kapal nung dalawa, is mas makapal si clevis. Okay? Kaya nasasabi natin na mas kaya niya mag-withstand ng shear loads. Di ba? Yung cross-sectional area ni clevis is mas malaki compared dun sa dalawang bolt. Kaya natin nasasabi na mas kaya niyang mag-withstand ng shear loads. Okay? So we also have here that note lang na the 3 bolts are also made by aluminum alloy for diameters over 1/4 inch. In metal fitting design, weight can be saved by using aluminum bolts. So we have here naman yung general rules natin using the bolt. So yung kanina naman kasi yung first part, in a way, that is for general fittings. So dito naman tayo sa general rules for using bolts lang naman. So this is for bolts. So first we have bolt threads should not be placed in bearing or stress. So if you remember the parts of the bolt, sabihin natin, let me draw lang saglit. So may bolt ka, tapos meron kang bolt body. And yung bolt body mo, of course, meron tong part na may thread. Okay? So yung part ng may thread mo, yan yung nilalagyan mo ng nut. Okay? Yung nilalagyan mo ng nut, yung part na yon, so in a way, yung part na to, ito yung threads, ang pwede lang maramdaman yan is yung tension, which is nanggagaling. Nanggagaling siya dun sa nut. Kasi hinahatak nga siya nung nut eh. 'Di ba? Nahatak yung buong bolt mo nung nut. Dahil dun sa kapit nung head tsaka nung nut, nagkakaroon ka ng tension dito. So in a way, yung bolt shank mo, including your threads, bolt threads, ay under tension. Ibig sabihin, tension lang ang pwedeng maramdaman ni threads. Sa bearing and shear, wala dapat siyang maramdaman. Ibig sabihin, hindi dapat yung nuts mo, in a way, hindi dapat siya nakaramdam ng bearing in one side tapos sa one side. Ibig sabihin, hindi dapat siya nag-move one place to another. Dapat ang bearing mo lang tsaka shearing mo ay mararamdaman dun sa unthreaded part. Okay? Dun lang nararamdaman si bearing or shearing. Yung threads itself, dapat tension lang. Okay? Next is the length of the bolt shank should not be such that not more than one thread extends below the fitting surface, which can be done by the use of washers. Okay? So, in this case, balikan natin, try ko ulit mag-drawing. So, sabihin natin may bolt ka. Okay? Tapos, meron kang body. Okay, body. So, sa body mo, shank, tsaka yung threaded part, bolt threads. Okay? So, we have yung shank. Yung shank natin is yung unthreaded part. Okay? Ito yung unthreaded part natin. So, yun yung shank natin. Okay? Ito, yung unthreaded part. Ngayon, meron kang i-connect na fittings. So, sabihin natin ito, may fittings, may plates kang i-connect. Kaya ka nga may connections ng fitting. So, sabihin natin meron kang kinoconnect na isang plate and another plate. Okay? So, ngayon, meron kang makikita dyan na space. So, yung space na to, okay, sa ilalim ng fitting mo. So, if you remember ang fitting natin is yung dalawang plate. So, yung ilalim ng fitting mo, so nakalagay dyan, below the fitting surface, yung red na yan, yung space na yan, should not be more than one thread. Okay? Not more than one thread. Ibig sabihin, may measurement if you remember sa threads nyo na lang, sa materials, may measurement one thread to another. Hindi dapat mas malaki ito compared dito. Okay? So, yun yung idea. If ever may space, kasi hindi naman natin ma-minimize yan, may washer tayong gagamitin. So, ibig sabihin, yung washer natin, dapat, yung thickness ng washer natin is not, of course, then more than the thread itself. Okay? So, yun yung idea. Kasi may standards din naman sa washers na gagamitin. May kapalsi washers. Okay? Bakit? The idea here is wag kang susobra dun sa length na kinakailangan mo for the bolt. Okay? Dahil nga, as much as possible, you will know kung saan ka pwede mag-save. Kung mas mahaba yung length nung ginamit mo as compared sa kinakailangan naman nung pinakang fittings mo, is mas mapapabigat ka. So, kailangan malesen mo yon enough to be efficient ka. Eh, kaya yun yung general, isa to sa mga general. So, next we have here, bolts less than 3/8 diameter should not be used in major fittings. For steel bolts, 3/16 inch diameter should be the smallest size to be used in any fittings. So, that's self-explanatory, di ko na i-explain. So next, bolts connecting parts having relative motion or stress reversal should have close tolerances to decrease shock loads. Okay? As much as possible, meron kasi tayong parts na nararamdam ng maraming loads. Okay, maraming loads. So, meron tayong close tolerances or dadamihan natin as much as possible yung parts na, yung bolts na connecting nun para meron tayong or in a way, yung shock loads na maramdaman ng each fittings is malesen. Okay? Next, for bolts having connecting members having a relative motion, a lubricator should be incorporated in the surrounding parts of the fittings. So if the fitting should not be the fitting should not be drilled to provide lubrication. So the fitting part, ibig sabihin, maglalagay ka ng lubricator mo if kailangan man or like rather kasi nga pag may motion na kailangan tayo may tolerance tayo na pwedeng consider na pwedeng mag-book yung butas natin or rather yung connection natin. Okay? So, if ever maglalagay ka ng, for example, lubricant or lubricator, ilalagay mo yun dun sa part ng butas. Di sa butas. Yun naman laging sa butas ka naglalagay ng lubricator. Ngayon, hindi ka dapat magpapalaki ng butas para lang maglagay ng lubricator. Okay? So, lagi siyang mag-a-apply ka enough ng lubricator para magkasya siya. Pero hindi ka dapat magpapalaki ng butas para lang maglagay ng lubricator. Then lastly, the bolts should be used in double shear or multiple shear if possible in order to increase strength efficiency in the bolt shear and to decrease bending tendency on the bolt. Okay? So the idea here is let us compare a double shear and a single shear. So mag-drawing lang po ako saglit. So sabihin natin meron kang single shear. So single shear mo, okay, ito, sorry. So single shear mo, meron kang connection. Sabihin natin yung linyang yan, okay, itong linyang to, yan yung ating pin. Yung kinokorek natin yung ating pin. Or rather yung dalawang plate or yung fitting. Ngayon, we know na yung forces na ina-apply mo dito, yung load nating i-apply mo dito would be equal sa load na i-apply mo dito. Okay? So, in a way, meron ka ring iisang area lang. Iisang area lang na magre-resist ng shearing mo, which is in turn, ito. Diba? So, yung area na yan, ng bolt, yan lang yung magre-resist ng load P mo. Okay? Yung technically couple siya So, yung couple na yan, i-resist niya lang is yung, mag-release lang sa kanya is yung area. Compared mo kapag double shear. Okay? Mamaya i-drawing ko siya. So, that's the idea of the single shear. So, drawing ko lang saglit yung
double shear. So, pag double shear, meron kang, for example, plate sa taas, plate sa gitna, and plate ulit sa baba. Okay? So, i-connect mo sila. So, color blue na lang gamitin ko. So, sabihin natin yung pin mo, connected mo, ayan, yung tatlo. Okay? Yung pin mo yung color blue sa double shear. Ngayon, may load P ka ulit. So, may load P ka. So, si load P ngayon, guys, alam natin na ito, load P. Isa lang siya eh. Kaya lang, pagdating dun sa dalawang part mo, yung dalawang kokontra dun sa P mo, is mas di-divide siya into two, which is ito, tsaka ito, would have a load P over 2. Diba? P over 2. So, ganun din sa baba. Okay? So, ngayon, ang mangyayari kasi dyan, bukod sa meron ka ng dalawang area na magre-resist nung load mo, yung load mo itself, pagdating dito, ay nangalahati na rin. Sorry. Let me erase it. So, nangalahati siya. So, kaya, yung shear tendency mo ay malilesen. Okay? Kaya sinasabi dyan, nai-increase yung strength, efficiency niya. Okay? Pangalawa, pagdating naman sa bolt bending or bending tendency ng bolt, yung distance mo, yung i-consider, okay, is mas mahaba pagka double shear as compared sa multiple or double shear. Pangalawa is the idea na yung load mo nga is nangalahati din, mas malilesen yung pag-bend ng bolt mo kasi mas onti yung load. Okay? So, yun yung idea kung bakit as much as possible, gagamit tayo ng double shear as compared sa single shear. Kapag naman nag-multiple shear ka, mas marami yung magdi-divide nung load mo at the same time, mas marami yung area na magre-resist. Kaya, double or multiple shear yung mas madalas na gamitin. Okay? So, this next slides natin, including this slide, is our capacity ng material. Okay? Ito naman ay hindi natin kailangan i-memorize. So, don't worry. Hindi natin kailangan i-memorize yan. Pinapakita lang natin siya. Okay? So, we have here yung possible iba't ibang materials for bolts. Pero makikita rin natin yung shear strength, tensile strength, and bending strength niya. Okay? Yung capacity ng kanyang material. So, FTU, FSU, and FB. Okay? So, we have here a size ng bolts natin. So, this is the diameter. So, mga diameters po yan. And na naka-inches. Okay? Lahat ng to naman, guys, is lab-tested to. Okay? Lab-tested to. You don't need to derive it. Ngayon, okay? So, ngayon, mapapansin nyo rin, may binigay na area and moment of inertia sa table na to. Ito lang naman yun sa table na to. Lahat ng values ng area at ng moment of inertia, alam naman natin manggagaling siya sa size ng ball. Okay? In your own solutions, no worries. Kung gusto niyo gamitin sa table at binigay ko sa table, feel free to use this table. If ever you want naman to calculate talaga yung area at yung moment of inertia from the size, wala rin problema sa akin. Either of the two steps or either of the two methods, pwede nyong gamitin. Ngayon, please do remember lang na meron tayong discrepancy if ever gamitin nyo yung formula itself and itong nasa table. Bakit? Si Brun is mahilig po siyang mag-round off. Okay? So, yung values na meron tayo dito is rounded off. Compare, also, kahit itong mga values ng mga strength natin. Okay? So, yung mga load na kaya niya sa strength nung kanyang material. Okay? So, lahat yan, karamihan is rounded off. Okay? So, bakit ko nasabi yon? Kasi itong mga FTU, FSU, tsaka FB, yan yung capacity ng material natin sa strength. Ito yung naka-load na kaakibat nun. Okay? Itong mga to, yung lahat ng shear na to ay galing sa FSU. Lahat ng tensile na to galing dito sa FTU. Lahat ng bending na to galing dito sa 180. Okay? So, yun yung idea. So, next naman, again, we have naman dito yung steel internal wrenching bolts. So, yung kanina, iyan steel bolts yun. Dito naman, steel internal wrenching bolts. Okay? Then, same naman, dito wala lang area at saka moment of inertia na binigay. But we have, we were given a size, diameters din siya na naka-inches. Then, tensile and double shear naman to. Kanina ay single shear. Okay. Then, last of the tables na meron tayo dito sa presentation is the 2024 aluminum alloy bolts. So, shear, tension, and bending din yung binigay, and may diameters tayo binigay. Okay? All of this is the same kung paano basahin yung unang table naman. So, doon. So, ngayon, as I said kanina, ang bolts natin, ano ang nararamdaman? Palagi siyang naka-shear and tension. Firstly, doon tayo sa tension. Lagi siyang naka-tension dahil meron kang closing mechanism na naglalak sa kanya, which is the nut. Diba? Bolts and nuts yan. Walang point yung bolts mo or matatanggal yung bolts mo pag wala siyang nut. So, kapag hinigpitan mo yung nut, yung bolts mo ay may mararamdaman na tension. Okay? And also, shear. Galing sa saan? Dun sa mga kinoconnect mo. So, lagi at lagi tayong nakakaramdam ng shear at tension sa bolts natin. Okay? Kaya meron tayong relationship nung combined shear and tension. So, when bolts are subjected to both shear and tension, the resulting strength is given by the following interaction equation. So, this is the relationship ng shear and tension natin na nakadepende to dun sa tables na meron tayo kanina. Okay? This is dependent on the materials or the capacity of the materials. So, this is the equation. So, x cubed over a cubed plus y squared over b squared is equal to 1. Whereas, yung x natin is the shear load, y natin is the tension load, a natin is the shear allowable load from the table, the previous table 1, and b natin is the tension allowable load from the previous table 1 din. If ever iba yung ating material, pwedeng yung ibang table ang gamitin. Kasi meron naman tayong allowable loads din dun sa givens na yun. Okay? So, the general idea here is if combined tension ang meron yung may relationship si tension tsaka si shear palagi. Okay? So, may relationship naman lagi si shear at tension. So, ito yung equation na kailangan natin. For example, sabihin natin gusto nating malaman si tension load, tapos may shear load na binigay, ito makukuha natin kung ano yung shear allowable load na gamitin nyo sa table. Okay. So, next we have the methods of failures. Ito yung isa sa mga kailangan nating intindihin, or actually, ito yung pinaka-application natin for fittings, or yung dito mag-start yung computational parts natin sa fittings and connections. So, first, iniintindi natin yung possible failure, kung ano yung possible failure na meron yung fittings natin. So, marami kasing iba't ibang failures sa ating connections, right, sa fittings itself. So, in this case, single bolt fitting ang i-consider natin, and the allowable failings loads niya na mararamdaman niya. Okay? So, we have here failure by bolt shear. So, yung failure na mapuputol yung bolt mo. So, in this figure, makikita nyo na sa isa't kanina, pag naka-double shear, yung main lug natin is P lang yung mararamdaman. Then, yung dalawang lug natin na mas manipis is PU over 2. Okay? Meron tayong yung lug portion natin. So, ito yon. So, we have here yung thicker lug A natin, or minsan tinatawag din female. And yung mga maninipis natin is yung female. Okay, yung male. So, ngayon, we could see here na naka-double shear siya. Okay? So, makapapansin nyo na yung ating load, yung load na meron tayo is ito. Okay? Tapos, ano yung magre-resist na area sa kanya? In this case, yung area ng bolt na nandito tsaka ng nandito. So, kaya yung magiging formula natin is PU is equal to, or PU ng bolt shear yan, is equal to FSU times A times 2. Area ng cross-sectional area ng bolt, and times 2 kasi double shear. So, si FSU, that is the ultimate shear stress or ultimate shear strength na meron yung ano ba yung mapuputol. Ganun yung laging iisipin natin. So, in our case, ang ating possible na mapuputol dyan is yung bolt. So, yung FSU ng bolt, yung kailangan natin gamitin. Okay? Ngayon, yung PU, so also, kaya naka-PU yan, ultimate yan. Okay, ultimate load yan. So, ultimate shearing strength din yan yung FSU. Ngayon, I forgot to say na yung pagdating sa Brun kasi, guys, pagdating sa Brun, yung P natin, load po yan. Pagdating sa F natin, laging strength or stresses po yan. Okay? So, F ang ginagamit nila for strength. How do we quantify strength nga ba? Stress yon, laging usually naka-PSI yon or naka-PA or rather naka-Pascals. So, ngayon, pagdating sa Brun, yung load natin ay P, yung F natin ay stress or rather strength. Okay? So, ganun po yung ginamit ni Brun. Medyo disregard, pagdating dito sa subject natin ngayon, disregard natin yung same idea pagdating sa stream and statics na yung F at P ay load. Okay? So, let us be clear with that. Yun nga. So, ang FSU natin is the ultimate shearing stress for the bolt material. So, bakit? Marami kasing possible na ibang material capacity yung meron ka. For example, sa given. So, kailangan mo intindihin na yung gagamitin mo for this bolt shear is kung ano yung magre-resist. Okay? So, in that way, yung area ng cross-sectional bolt at yung ultimate shearing strength ng bolt material. So, next, for failure by bolt bending, the point naman here is titignan natin kung ano yung possible na mauna. Either yung masira yung bolt or rather maputol yung bolt or yung mag-bend yung bolt. Sir, bakit po yung bolt bending is considered as failure pa rin and nakakonect pa rin naman siya? The main idea kung bakit ayaw natin mag-bend yung bolt is hindi na kasi natin siya mahirapan tayo na ma-repair siya. Which is in turn, alam natin na madalas naman is meron tayong possible na failure na makuha dun sa, or rather, mahirapan tayong i-repair yung fittings or protections na yon if ever nakabend na yung bolt. So, kaya pag binasa natin yan, the main concern regarding bolt bending is under the limit loads, any bending deflection of the bolt should not be permitted. As such, deformation would make the bolt, the removal of the bolt difficult. Mahirap na siyang i-repair. Usually, may idea or as I remember, pagka ganun na yung cases kasi na nakabend na yung bolt, kailangan mong palakihin ulit yung butas. So in turn, pag pinalaki mo yung butas, possible na maging out of commission na yung plate na yun kasi papalakihin mo pa yung butas. Okay? Pwede mo na, in some cases, worst case scenarios, kailangan mo rin palitan yung pinakang plate. Okay? Yun yung case. So paano natin malalaman yung failure ng bolt? Kailangan natin malaman yung bolt bending strength natin. Kung gaano kalaki yung kailangan natin na cases or anong strength yung kakayanan ng material. So, pag bolt bending, we remember moment ang ating usapin. Okay? Pag bolt yan bebend yung pinakang bolt mo, moment ang ating usapin. So, kailangan natin malaman yung bending moment arm niya. So, paano malalaman yun? We have here this formula, whereas iisa-isahin natin siya. Let me explain. We have here yung ating sabihin natin same idea kanina na naka-bolt shear. Nang naka-double shear. So, sa double shear, alam natin na ito ay P. Okay? Ito ay P. Pero, we could consider kasi na in this case, exaggerated natin, possible pag nag-bend to, ang itsura niya ganyan, tapos ganito. Okay? Magbe-bend siya, mag-curve siya in a way. So ngayon, we could say na mirrored siya, yung taas at yung baba. So sabihin natin nakahati to ng kalahati. Okay? Sorry, hindi straight line yan, pero kalahati mismo nung T2. So, yung one part mo ng isang T2 mo ay mangangalahati. So, this would be T2 over 2. Okay, T2 over 2. So, mahirap nang isulat kasi maliit na. Sige, hindi ko nasusulatan, pero explain ko na lang. So, yung part na to, this would be T2 over 2. So, ganun din naman sa baba, T2 over 2. So, again, bakit? Kasi pwede mo siyang ma-mirror eh. Parehas yung magiging bending moment mo dito, tsaka bending moment mo dito. So, either of the two taas over ba, parehas yung makukuha nating moment or bending moment dyan. Okay? Or rather, bending moment stress na kailangan. So, in this case, yung taas na lang muna intindihin natin. So, in this case, meron kang again T2 over 2 dito. Kasi kinalahati mo na yung plate mo eh, yung female mo. So, ngayon, also, yung load mo, madidistribute mo na sa taas at baba din. Bakit? Kasi distributed load yan eh. Alam natin distributed. So, pwede mo yung distributed ay hatiin mo na rin. So, magkakaroon ka ng P over 2 tapos P over 2 sa baba. So, mangyari, P over 2 ka dyan sa female mo, P over 2 ka sa male mo. Again, under the consideration na yung taas na portion yung i-consider na natin dyan. Ngayon, alam natin na yung distributed loads ay mag-a-act palagi sa centroid ng body. So, kaya ngayon, yung P over 2 mo ngayon ay mag-a-act dun sa gitna ng T2 over 2. Which is, we know na T2 over 2 times 1 half. Okay? So, mangyari, T2 over 4. Dun nag-a-act yung P over 2 mo. Okay? Dito naman sa male part natin, alam na natin na dun sa gitna ng T1 lang siya nag-a-act eh. Kaya siya T1 over 2. Then, realistically speaking, we have a gap. Alam natin na palagi may space in between them. Maging minuscule man siya, microscopic siya, meron at merong space. So, in some cases, given naman yan, or most cases, given naman yung gap. Kaya, i-consider pa rin natin na may gap siya. Okay? So, ang magiging moment arm natin is T1 over 2, T2 over 4, plus G. Okay? So, yan yung pinakang bending moment arm natin. Okay? Ngayon, mamaya papakita natin sa sample problem kung paano gagamitin. So, next naman, punta tayo dun sa failures ng log portion. So, ano ba muna si log portion? So, si log portion refers to the fitting, log portion of the fitting refers to the portion of the fitting that involves the whole of the single bolt that connects the male and female parts of the fitting. So, in most cases natin, in our case, sa structures natin, usually yan yung plate na kino-consider mo kinoconnect sa isa't isa. Kung ano yung may butas. Kung ano yung kinoconnect mo. So, in this case, again, we have male and female parts of the fitting. So, the simplified assumption regarding failing action of the resulting equations which follow have been widely used for quick approximation check. Okay, so, ang method 1 natin, so yung quick approximation check, tinatawag kasi rin siyang method 1 in our case sa log strength. Si method 1, fairly, it's okay if quick approximation check nga yung kailangan natin kung mag-fail siya or mabili or hindi in a faster way. Okay? Bakit? Kasi in method 1 specifically, we are considering na hindi tayo nagko-consider ng stress concentration sa mga bolts natin. The same time, we are considering na separate nangyayari yung mga failures natin. Kasi bakit? Marami pong failures ang log portion. Okay? Ibig sabihin, yung maraming failures na yon is possible na sabay-sabay nangyayari as compared dun sa bolts. Sa bolts kasi natin, separate din nangyayari siya. Either of the two talaga. Either mapuputol or magbe-bend po siya. Kung ano yung mauna. Unlike pag log portion. Sa log portion, possible kasing sabay na sabay nangyayari yung failure. Okay? Possible na sabay-sabay din siyang mangyayari. So, doon muna tayo sa method 1, sa log strength analysis natin. So, first failure natin is a failure in tension. So, meron nga tayong plate dito, sabihin natin plate na lang, na nakakaramdam ng tension. So, kaya siya ganyan. Meron kang PU dito, at saka itong load sa loob ng bolt natin. Okay, so bakit? Bakit sa loob ng bolt? Kasi alam natin yung PU na to is galing dun sa, yung kukontra dyan is galing sa kabilang plate. Ano yung nagko-connect sa kanila? Yung bolt mismo. Kaya alam na, or pansinin natin, yung force natin from the kabilang part ng plate natin is dadaan dun sa bolt, which is in turn, nasa loob ng butas mo. Kaya yung force mo dyan, itong distributed force na yan, yan yung PU mo na galing sa kabila. Pero, in a way, makikita nyo, distributed yan kasi yung PU din dito, distributed yon. Kinoconcentrate lang natin siya sa gitna. In this case, ito, I will explain further kung bakit siya distributed na itsura dyan mamaya. Ngayon, puntahan natin yung equation na gagamitin. So, yung tension natin, so, ultimate tension load na meron tayo for this particular failure is FTU times 2R minus D. Whereas yung FTU na gagamitin mo, of course, is yung kung ano yung magre-resist nung load mo. Which is in this case, yung lug portion. Okay? Or sometimes also called as plate. Yung material ng plate yung gagamitin mo. And yung area naman na i-consider mo is yung 2R minus D times thickness. Whereas yung 2R, yun yung length mo from the whole plate mo, or rather width ng buong plate mo, ima-minus mo yung butas. Bakit mo i-consider yung butas? Guys, yung buong tension, yung buong lug na to ay nakakaramdam ng tension. Okay? Kaya lang, saan siya yung point na may critical? Doon sa pinakamaliit yung area mo. So in this case, alam natin na yung pinakamaliit yung area is doon sa may pinakamalaking part ng butas. Kasi yung red line na yan, yung pinakamaliit yung width mo. Kasi may butas ka nga. Ngayon, doon sa ibang parts, so yung ibang parts ng butas mo, minuscule man, pero ito, tsaka ito, mas malaki sila compared dun sa mga red line. Okay, ibig sabihin, in a way, mas maraming material yung magre-resist dun sa load mo. Kaya pagdating dyan, yung 2R minus D, yun yung area na red line. Okay, times, i-multiply mo sa thickness para maging 3D siya. Okay, so the idea there is, for example, ganito siya, 3D. So, yung part na ito, tsaka yung part na ito, yun yung area na magre-resist sa'yo. Yung red na area na yan. Tsaka dito sa part, sa baba. So, yan yung area na magre-resist nung tension mo. Okay? Kaya mapapansin mo dyan, yung FTU is the ultimate tensile strength of the plate, material, and yung A na gagamitin mo, or yung 2R minus D times T is the area, or the cross-sectional area ng lug. Okay? The least cross-sectional area ng lug. Okay? Medyo kulang lang siya, pero the least cross-sectional area ng lug. Kasi, alam natin, yung ibang parts, ito, lahat yan, naka-tension din naman. Pero yung pinakang unang mag-fail dyan is yung pinakamaliit. Okay? Ngayon, pag binasa natin yung last part, the equation assumes that the tensile stress on the cross-section is uniform. Okay? Uniform daw siya lahat dito. Kaya lang, hindi siya totoo. Kasi alam natin, yung flow ng stress around the hole has a stress concentration. In a way, makikita nyo, mas malaki yung malapit sa gitna compared dito sa mga gilid. So, dito sa gitna, mas malaki siya. Kasi, kaya nga, makita nyo yung distributed load dyan, mas malaki sa gitna. Kasi meron tayong tinatawag na stress concentration. So, to take care of this stress concentration, if ever failure in tension yung kinoconsider natin, kailangan natin ng more than, or rather, 25% na margin of safety. Ibig sabihin, hindi siya dapat lumiit dyan kasi meron kang stress concentration na i-consider. Okay? So, next, we have failure by bearing of bushing on plate. Okay? So, meron kasi tayong bearing. So, in this case, may bushing tayong part. So, yung bushing natin, the idea of bushing is para siyang sleeve. Okay? Para siyang sleeve para dun sa bolt mo. Pero, bushing talaga, kapag kinoconnect natin siya dun sa fitting, usually it is force fitted dun sa butas. Okay? So, some cases, mas malapit yung hole diameter mo dun sa bushing, outside bushing diameter. Okay? So, bushing outside diameter. So, malapit siya, kung hindi parehas, malapit siya doon. Kasi usually force fitted po siya. Okay? That is to protect yung butas mo. yung butas mo. So, yung failure by bearing of bushing on plate, makikita nyo sa figure B, possible kasing lumaki yung butas dahil dun sa bearing na meron ka dun sa bolt mo, or rather sa bushing mo. So, yung bushing, parang in a way, dahil sa force na na-apply mo dito, dun sa bushing mo na galing sa bolt, okay, same idea kasi kanina. Galing sa bolt yung force mo, ngayon, imbis na dun sa butas directly mapupunta, mayroon ka pang bushing muna na dadaanan. So, kaya meron tayong bolt to bushing. Okay? Or rather, bolt to bushing tapos bushing to bolt. Ngayon, possible na lalaki pa yung butas. Okay? So, in this case, kailangan natin i-consider is yung bearing ng anong material. So, pag bearing of bushing on plate, ano yung possible na lumaki? Yun yung titingnan natin kapag i-consider natin yung failure na yun. So, yung failure na meron tayo, most probably, in this particular failure, is yung paglaki ng butas ng plate. Okay? So, yung paglaki ng butas ng hole itself. So, kaya yung i-consider natin dyan is yung allowable bearing stress ng log portion. Okay? So, sorry, kulang lang yung description dyan. Pero yung log portion dyan, kapag ka bearing of bushing on plate. We could also see there that yung area natin, ang gagamitin natin is diameter ng bushing. Okay? Kasi yun yung meron kang bearing. So, yung parang makikita mo dito yung part na, yung may dotted dito, yung dotted dito, yun yung pinakang considered mong area. Okay? So, bakit natin kailangan i-consider or kailangan i-specify yan? Kasi meron din tayong another failure for bearing, which is failure by bearing of bolt bushing. So, the main difference is kung kanina yung yung bushing mo, yung magpupush dun sa butas, ngayon naman, ngayon naman, yung bolt mo ang magpupush dun sa bushing. So, ngayon, ang magiging difference mo dito is two major differences. Yung FBR mo ngayon dyan, yung allowable bearing stress mo dyan, should be yung ating strength sa bearing ng bushing mo. Kasi yun yung papalakihin naman nung bolt mo. Tapos yung diameter naman na gagamitin mo is yung bolt diameter. Bakit? Kasi yung less area, yung area na magkakaroon ng contact pressure dun from the bolt papunta dun sa bushing. Okay, yun yung magiging main differences. Pero pareha silang FBR DT. So next natin, a margin of safety, 50% should be maintained. So ito ay in general aviation naman. A general aviation. Laging kailangan yan maging maintained. Okay? Ibig sabihin, ito yung sobra natin dun sa ultimate load. Or rather, applied load. Applied load. If a fitting subjected to infrequent rotation under load but with load involving no shock or vibration, required margin of safety na 100% yung kailangan. How do we differentiate it, sir? Itong 50%, lagi yan involved sa lahat ng aviation natin. Okay? Hindi lang yan sa fittings. Pero kapag ka nagdagdag tayo ng fittings, if you remember kanina, magdadagdag ka nga ng additional blanket factor of safety. Okay? Pero pag naman, yung fitting mo ay alam mong merong infrequent rotation. Ibig sabihin, subjected siya to infrequent rotation. Tapos, walang involved na shock or vibration. Yung required mo, by standard to, required na margin of safety mo is 100%. Okay? Ibig sabihin, yung factor of safety mo magiging 2.0. Then, if ever naman yung fittings mo ay makaramdam ng shock or vibration with infrequent rotation, kailangan mong margin of safety is 150%. Or in other terms, yung factor of safety mo should be 2.5. Okay? So, 2.5 yung factor of safety mo. Ibig sabihin, sinosobrahan mo pa dun sa lahat ng factor of safety na meron ka. Included na dyan yung additional. Okay? Standard po yan. Okay? So, shock is considered to occur in such structures as landing gear, gown mounts, hoisting, mooring, and towing connections. Okay? So, in this case, dapat within standards, okay, within standards, yung ating connections should have a 1.5 na margin of safety. A 1.5 na margin of safety. So yun yung connection natin. For example, sa landing gear, kailangan yung mga fittings doon ay may margin of safety na 1.5 or rather 150%. Okay, yun yung margin of safety niya. Ibig sabihin, sa other parts ng aircraft na hindi nakaka-involve ng shock, tapos may infrequent rotation, 100 naman. Tapos, yung ibang fittings natin na walang rotation or walang infrequent rotation, tapos wala pang involved na shock, kahit yung dagdag na additional blanket factor of safety lang yung kailangan. Okay? Yun yung mga i-consider kasi natin dyan. Okay? So in general, it is a good design practice to design lugs conservatively as the weight of the lug is small relative to their importance ensuring safety of the flight vehicles. Accuracies in manufacture are difficult to control. It is good design practice to provide sufficient material to permit drilling or for a bushing if bushing is not used in the original design. If castings are used as fittings, much higher factors of safeties on the limit loads are specified because of low ductilities of the materials in castings. So general use naman to in fittings natin. So sa method 2 naman, again, the main difference ng method 1 and method 2 is kino-consider na natin sa method 2 si stress concentration. At the same time, possibly sa method 2, sabay-sabay nga siyang nangyayari yung ating loads na failures na meron. So kaya tayo may gagamitin na efficiency factor kung natin tinatawag. Okay? So basahin ko lang to saglit. The important difference between method 1 and method 2 is that the curves derived from test results give stress concentration factor to use for the tension net section and the shear out failure assumed in method 1 replaced by combined shear out bearing failure dito sa method 2. So the figures na meron tayo in lug pin combinations and types of failures. So ito yung meron tayong possible na mga fittings sa ating lug analysis. Dito sa method 2, sabay-sabay nangyayari to. Lahat ng to. Okay? So dito, tension failure, shear bearing failure. So ayan nga yung tinatawag na combined shear out bearing failure. Doon sa method 1, meron kasi tayong tinatawag na shear out lang. Separate si shear out tsaka si tension failure. Dito, sabay possible na nangyayari siya. Tapos meron din tayong tinatawag na hoop tension failure. So isa-isahin ko lang siya para mas makita natin. So si tension failure, yan yung kanina na na-discuss ko naman. Okay, so hindi ko na siya i-discuss further. Dito sa shear bearing failure or pagdating sa method 1, shear out failure yung tawag. Yun yung failure natin na galing sa bearing. In a way, kaya siya tinawag na shear bearing failure, mag-shear siya dahil dun sa bearing na meron ka. Okay? So para siyang, for example, meron kang bolt dito. Okay, so let me draw lang saglit. So may bolt ka dito na ilalagay, for example. Bolt or bushing man, kahit ano. So yung bolt mo, magkakaroon ka ng bearing dito. Okay? So meron kang contact pressure between yung bushing or bolt mo dun sa butas mo. Okay? So dahil sa bearing na yan, you will have a point of contact dun sa iyong bolt or bushing papunta dun sa plate. Okay? Yung point of contact na yon, yun yung nagkakaroon ka ng shear. Okay? Kakaroon ka ng shear. Again, yung shear mo is dahil dun sa bearing. Then lastly, you have the hoop tension failure. So si hoop tension failure naman, okay, so si hoop tension failure, galing siya saan? If you remember kanina sabi ko, yung buong body mo ay nakakaramdam ng tension. So in this case, sabihin natin may mga tension na papunta dyan, nakakontra ka nga dun sa pinakang load mo. Ngayon, pagdating sa part ng hoop mo, patiting sa part ng hoop mo, saan dadalo yung tension mo? Galing ka dito, papunta ka dito, galing ka dito, papunta ka dito. So, magkakaroon ka ng tension dun sa hoop mo. In turn, pinakang critical mo is yung cross-section part ng hoop mo na pinakang makaramdam ng tension, which is in turn, ito siya. Okay, kaya yun yung, dun usually nang occur yung hoop tension failure. Again, pagdating sa method 2, sabay-sabay, ina-assume natin na sabay-sabay nangyari yung possible stresses dyan. Kaya pagdating dyan sa tension na yan, pwedeng sabay-sabay mangyari yung tension failure. Okay? Which in turn, yung mga efficiency factor na gagamitin natin later, yun yung makakapaggamit or in turn, sabay-sabay natin gagamit yung stress concentration tsaka yung sabay-sabay na ating failures. Okay? So, na tayo sa sample problem. So, sa sample problem natin, we have here, the figure shows that a single pin fitting, the long material is AISI steel. So, yung plate daw natin, yung plate natin is AISI steel, heat treated to an ultimate tensile strength na 125 PSI. Ibig sabihin lang yan guys, kapag ka AISI steel na heat treated, na hindi heat treated, possibly hindi po ito yung value niya. Okay, kaya specified na heat treated to FTU na 125 PSI. Then the bolt naman is AN steel, whereas yung AN steel natin has a capacity ng ultimate tensile load na FTU na 125 PSI also. Then the bushing is steel na meron din daw FTU na 125 PSI. Ngayon, guys, pagdating sa FTU ng tatlong material yan, iba-ibang material sila eh. Yung isa ay AISI steel, yung isa AN steel, yung isa steel lang. Nagkataon pare-pares sila steel, pero hindi naman necessarily pare-pares silang steel ay pare-pares na sila ng capacity. Diba? Alam natin yan pagdating sa aircraft materials natin. So ngayon, nagkataon lang yan na pare-parehas yung capacity ng material natin na given na yung FTU ay 125 PSI. Again, pwede pong maging iba-iba yung values na yan. Kaya magiging critical na dapat alam nyo yung gagamitan ng strength na yan. Then next, the fitting is subjected to an ultimate tension load na 15,650 pounds. Then the fitting will be strength checked for the design load. So pag sinabing fitting will be strength checked for design load, titignan natin yung capacity ng material, ng fittings natin, using the design load na meron, itong ultimate load, pero ipapasok natin yung fitting load natin. The same time, pag sinabing strength check, lahat ng failures titignan natin. Kaya sinabi dyan, the check will be made by both methods 1 and 2. So lahat ng possible failures titignan natin. So we have given a FCY na 113,000 PSI kapag kayong steel mo ay may FTU na 125 PSI. Okay, so given na rin naman yan. Ay, heads up ko na rin po kayo, sa Brun kasi, may mga ibang given na galing, na binibigay lang nila sa solution itself. Okay, so pagdating sa assessments nyo naman, don't worry, ibibigay ko na lahat ng possible given natin. Okay, so again, may makikita kayo dyan na ibang given na bigla na lang lumalabas. So we also have the dimensions the given dito sa figure natin. We have a 1 and 3/16 na length ng ating log portion. Then we also have a radius from center papunta sa edge ng curve natin na 19/32 inches yan. Puro inches po yan, lahat ng yan. And then we also have a butas na 5/16 na radius. Also, if you remember what I said kanina, most bushing is force-fitted. Okay? So in this case, medyo big figure, kaya we could also assume na yung diameter ng bolt bushing natin, outside diameter ng bolt bushing natin is 5/16 din. Binigyan naman tayo ng thickness ng steel bushing kapag kailangan natin gamitin yung internal. Okay, yung internal na or yung inside diameter ng bushing. We have also given a 1/2 inch diameter for an AN steel bolt. Okay? Yung diameter daw ng ating iron steel bolt. Then, we also have na binigay sa atin yung mga thickness ng lug natin. So, si lug A natin or the female part is 3/8. Tapos, dito naman, 7/32 sa lug B, yung dalawang lug B natin. Okay? So, una nating kailangan tandaan is a fitting factor of safety na 1.15 yung gagamitin for a standard practice military airplanes. Again, dito sinabi lang sa atin na military airplanes yung gagamitin. Ibig sabihin, in your assessment, malamang sa malamang meron na dyan sa figure or rather sa tanong na kung ano yung aircraft na gagamitin. And then, kaya tayo gagamit ng 1.15. Okay? Also, if you look at our sample problem, meron tayo binigay na load. If you look at the load na meron, yung 15,650, we have there, sinabi, ultimate tension load. Ibig sabihin, kasama na dyan yung 1.5. Okay? Kasama na dyan yung general use of factor of safety natin. So, itong load na to, yan na yung general factor of safety. Included na dyan yung general factor of safety. So, kaya pagdating sa design fitting load, idadagdag na lang natin yung 1.5. So, magkakaroon tayo ng 17,997.5. Again, mapapansin nyo, design fitting load. Ibig sabihin, si design, pasok na dyan yung 1.5. Si fitting, pasok na dyan yung 1.5. Kaya mo laging gagamitin yung term na design fitting load. Okay? Also, pagdating dun sa ating given, papapansin nyo kasi sa Brun, naka-round off yan. Sa atin, hindi natin ni-round off. Same procedure tayo all throughout sa ating mga assessments. Hindi po tayo mag-round off. Okay? So, first, check natin kung gaano kalaki yung pwedeng failure niya, kung gaano siya kalayo sa failure or mag-fail ba siya pagdating sa bolt shear. So, bolt is in double shear. Alam natin double shear siya galing sa figure. From table 1, kapag binalikan nyo, pakibalikan na lang. Again, mas magandang meron kayong kopya ng Brun dyan. Sa table 1, may binigay sa ating single shear strength. May specified na tayong single shear strength for the particular 1 inch, a half inch diameter na iron steel bolt. That is the 14,700 pounds. Kaya lang, itong bolt na to is for a single shear. So, we'll need to multiply it. Ibig sabihin, yung PU natin or yung ultimate load na kaya, again, yung ultimate load na kaya ng material natin is 29,400. Yun yung kakayanan ng material. Bakit natin kailangan i-specify kung ano yung kakayanan ng material? Para malaman natin kung ano yung magiging position natin kapag kuha ng margin of safety. Okay? So, mapapansin nyo guys, if you remember a factor of safety, yung capacity divided by the applied mo yon. Or rather, in our case, ultimate yon. Yun yung factor of safety. Kaya lang, kasi margin of safety is yung kukunin po natin palagi. Kasi para malaman natin kung malapit siya dun sa standards natin. Okay? Which is laging naka-margin of safety. Kaya margin of safety yung nilalagay natin. Kaya siya naka-1. Palagi rin natin tandaan na laging nasa taas is yung capacity ng material. I-divide mo siya dun sa in-apply mong load. Or rather, i-correct natin para di malito. Yung nilagay mong load. Okay? Nilagay mong ultimate design load. Okay? Or rather, design fitting load. Technically, yung nilagay mong load dun sa, na naka-in terms ng design fitting, dun sa fitting connection mo. So, laging ganito yung trend. Nasa taas yung capacity, nasa baba yung nilagay mong load. Okay? So, magkakaroon ka ng MS na 0.63. 63 something. So, next, dun tayo sa check on bending on bolts. Kunin muna natin lahat ng margin of safeties para makita natin yung general idea ng mga margin of safeties natin. So, sa check on of bending on bolts, so refer natin dun sa moment arm natin, equation natin kanina. So, ito yun. Which is also binigyan tayo ng panibagong given na G, which is 1/64. So, makukuha natin si bolt bending arm. Okay? So, meron tayong B na 0.21 something. So ngayon, sa bending moment on bolt natin, sir, bakit PB over 2 ang gagamitin? Bakit hindi lang PB? If you remember kanina, yung bolt yung part ng bolt na makakaramdam ng bend is most probably yung nasa taas at yung nasa baba pag double shear. Ngayon, matatandaan natin yung load na meron tayo, yung load na meron tayo dun sa upper part and even sa lower part is yung P over 2. Yun yung makakapagpa-bend sa kanya. Diba? So in a way, alam natin yung load na yon is P over 2, kaya yun yung load na gagamitin natin for the moment arm. So this is the force, this is the distance. Kaya yun yung bending moment na makuha natin. So may mukha tayong bending moment ng bolt. So ito yung in-apply nating moment dun sa bolt natin. Okay? Ngayon, if you go back, okay? If you go back dun sa ating paano natin malaman yung possible stress nito? Okay? Ngayon, yung MR over I, if you remember, that is the flexure formula. Sa flexure formula, malalaman natin yung bending stress na meron, yung capacity, yung kahit anong bagay. Okay? So, meron tayong moment, meron din tayong R. So, saan galing si R? Kung ano yung binibend mo. So, in a way, bolt yung binibend mo, may diameter ka, yun yung R. Makuha mo yung R doon. Si I naman, given din, moment of inertia. So, meron kang possible na makuha na bending stress dun sa in-apply mong bolt. Okay? Or rather, ito yung stress na nararamdaman nung bolt mo dahil dun sa nilagay nating load. Okay? Dito siya galing sa 1.7 something. So, if you remember, yan yung nilagay mong load dun sa bolt mo. Or rather, dun sa fitting mo. Ngayon, ibig sabihin, pagdating sa margin of safety, yan yung nasa baba. So, ano yung nasa taas dapat? Dun sa table 1 natin, meron tayong 180,000 PSI. Yun yung FB natin or bending strength na capacity ng material. So kapag kinuha natin yung margin of safety, same essence, nasa taas yung capacity, nasa baba yung naramdaman. Nagkataon lang, stress yung ginamit natin dito. So we would have an MS na 0.12 something. Okay? Ngayon, punta tayo sa next possible failure. So, mamaya ko i-explain yung mga MS na nakuha natin. So, the log A, okay, kulang yun. The log A is more critical than log B since the thickness of log B is more than 1/2 of log A. So, the idea there, if you remember yung kaninang sinabi ko, yung log A kasi, most tendency ni log A, wait lang, drawing ko. So, ito si log B, ito si log A, yung mas makapal. Sorry, nakabaliktad lang yung drawing ko. Pero same idea applies naman pa rin. So, si log A tsaka si log B, yung distribution ng kanyang loads kasi, in a way, is kukunin mo yung gitna. Kasi double shear siya. So, if ever, yung distance mo from yung thickness mo ng log B mo and yung half ng distance mo ng log A mo, kung ano yung mas manipis, yun yung magiging critical. In the case of the sample problem, ito yung mas critical kasi mas maliit siya compared dito. Okay, ibig sabihin, dahil alam natin, kasi yung load na mararamdaman ng dalawang log B is P over 2 Tapos ito P. So, if divide mo yung load na yon, yung P over 2 dito, tapos P over 2 dito, technically, mas onti yung magre-release ng area dito compared mo sa dito. Kung parehas na P over 2 yung dito at dito. Okay? So, yun yung idea para malaman natin kung ano yung mas critical, kung ano yung mas manipis. Okay? Ibig sabihin, in case na for example, mas makapal pa rin, okay, in case na example, mas makapal yung half nito, not half nito, yung half nung buong ito, mas makapal pa rin kumpara dito sa buong thickness nito, edi mas critical sa'yo yung log B. So, yun yung essence. Nagkataon sa sample problem natin, mas critical si log A kasi yung 1/2 ng log A is mas manipis dun sa log B. So, ibig sabihin, yung i-consider natin mga thickness ngayon is puro sa log A na. Okay? So, sa tension, check of tension through bolt hole, if you remember kanina, yung material natin is yun this would be yung sa ating log portion. Okay? Tapos, ito yung 2R minus D, tapos times T. So, may makukuha tayong ultimate load na 26 something. Okay? Hindi ko na binabasa ng buo yung decimal kasi alam ko na marunong kayo magbasa ng numbers. Okay? So, MS, kukunin natin the same idea kanina. Ito yung capacity ng material is i-divide mo dun sa in-apply mo or rather, nilagay mong load. Okay? Nilagay mong load. Okay? So, makimuha kang MS. So, mapapansin natin 0.46. Sa check ng method 1, if we remember kanina, kailangan lalaki siya sa 0.25. So, ibig sabihin, pasok pa rin tayo sa standard. Dahil nga may stress concentration. Okay? So, doon naman tayo sa shear out. Sa shear out, kanina, dito na example sa method 1 or rather dito na explain. Pero, if you have your body, so sabihin natin, drawing lang ako saglit, bupurin ko na lang tumamaya. So, meron kang body dyan. Tapos, may butas ka. In this particular example kasi, alam natin na yung distance nito at distance nung neto at neto would be equal dito tsaka dito. Kasi, concentric yung dalawang curve mo. Itong half circle mo tsaka yung bolt hole mo ay concentric. Iisa yung center. Okay? Iisa yung center niya. Kaya alam natin na yung distance nito at yung distance nito would be equal. Okay? So in this case, yung value ng 2R minus D would be the same. Okay? But it would be the same dito. Tsaka yung thickness nito. Kaya lang, pag mapapansin nyo, magkaiba yung pagkakasulat. Bakit? Para alam natin na itong linyang to yung kino-consider. Tapos times 2 siya kasi meron ka sa taas at sa baba. Okay? Bakit ganun, sir? Kasi in case na, for example, in case na ito, tapos yung butas mo ay inatras mo. Sabihin, yung distance mo from dito ay hindi nag-equal dito. Okay? Ibig sabihin, ang i-consider mo na dyan is yung length nito, which is in turn, ito yun. Tapos, ito times 2 mo. Kasi dalawa, taas at baba. So, yun yung idea. Kaya, magkaiba yung pagkakasulat ng areas ng tension through bolt hole tsaka shear out natin. Okay? So, yun po. So, ngayon, also, binigyan tayo ng panibagong given. So, yung ultimate shear dito, ultimate shear strength na meron tayo dito, okay, yung ultimate shear strength na meron tayo dito is for the log portion. Okay? Bakit? Kasi marami tayong possible shear stress na meron eh. Okay? So, in this case, yung log portion yung meron dyan. Okay? Kasi, if you look at the figure natin kanina, wala tayong, sample problem, walang binigay sa ating shear out. Or rather, shear stress. So, ito, binigyan tayo ng dagdag na value. So, ito, hindi ko na kinuha yung MS niya. In a way kasi, alam natin, or familiar tayo, pwede siyang mag-negative. So, hindi ko na muna kunin yung MS niya. I-explain ko siya further later. So, naman tayo sa bearing strength. So, we have here, sa bearing strength natin, mapapansin nyo, yung bushing and lug natin has the same ultimate shear strength or ultimate tension strength. Okay? So, usually kasi, yung bearing strength mo and yung, if ever parehas yung ultimate tension strength mo, madalas parehas yung bearing strength mo. Okay? Ngayon, if ever man ganito yung case na parehas yung FTUs mo, you will need to know kung ano yung mas critical. Kung ano yung possible na mas lumaki in a way. Kasi again, if you remember yung explanation kanina natin, pag yung bearing ng bushing to plate, meron siyang sariling bearing, tapos si bolt to bushing, may sarili rin siyang bearing. Ngayon, dahil alam natin na parehas yung capacity ng material, titingnan lang natin kung ano yung unang possible na lumaki. So in this case, alam natin na mas less yung bolt on bushing na area. Ibig sabihin, mas onti yung mag-resist ng area ng bearing mo. In turn, yun yung possibly mas lalaki. Okay? Mas mag-fail. So in this case, mas critical yung bolt on bushing. So, yun yung kaninang equation nating FBR dt. Okay? So in turn ng area, dt yun. So FBR, given sa atin siya na 194 PSI. Kaya lang, yung 194 PSI, guys, that is allowable. Okay? So, yung allowable niya, kailangan natin siyang gawing ultimate. So, kaya tayo magdi-divide ng 1.5. Okay? So, we have here yung D natin ng bolt natin, bolt diameter, times yung thickness. So, may makukuha tayong 24250 and yung MS natin is somewhere in 0.34. Again, capacity ng material divided by dun sa nilagay mong load. Okay? Mapapansin natin yan guys, iba't iba. Iba-iba yung capacity. Bakit? Kasi iba-iba yung strength na meron yung bolt natin. Ganito lang yan technically guys. Lahat ng nasa taas ng mga MS natin, if in-exceed mo yon, ibig sabihin, mag-fail na siya. Okay? So for example, dun sa bearing natin. So sa bearing natin, pag nag-exceed ka dyan sa 24,250, ibig sabihin, magbe-bear na yung material mo. Or rather, lalaki na yung butas mo. Just like dun sa, for example, sa shearing natin ng bolt. If you remember, sa shearing ng bolt is 29400 ata. Pag sumobra ka sa 29400, for example, 29401 pounds yung in-apply mo dun sa material, ibig sabihin, yung bolt mo ay mapuputol na. So, yun yung idea lang ng capacities mo. So, yun yung lahat nun ng nasa taas. Okay? So, dun naman tayo sa method 2. So, sa method 2, yung bolt shear strength and bolt bending strength, hindi naman tayo magbabago. Bakit? Kasi, parehas lang naman yung pag-compute sa kanya. Kasi nga, hindi natin kailangan tindihin yung stress concentration at the same time, separate naman talagang mangyayari si bolt shear at si bolt bending. Either of the two yung mauuna. Okay? Dito tayo sa tension net section. So, ito yung una sa log portion natin. Tension net section. Ngayon, kung kanina sa method 1, ito yung tension failure. Okay? Kaya lang, meron tayong idadagdag na KT dyan. Yung KT natin is known as the tension efficiency factor. So, si tension efficiency factor, that is yung to take care dun sa stress concentration and yun nga, at the same time, yung sabay-sabay nangyaring tension, failure or rather, sabay-sabay na pwedeng mangyari dun sa failure natin. So, what I need from you guys is kasi hindi ko na naisama yung table dito, I need you guys to open yung Brun nyo. So, punta kayo, I think that is page 940. So, makikita nyo doon yung sa left side, yung figure D1.12. Yung may maraming linya. May X and Y axis tapos may curve. And then, sa ilalim nun, meron tayong table na D1.3. Doon sasabihin kung ano yung curve na gagamitin mo. Okay? So, maraming curve yon. Pag tinignan mo, si figure D1.12, okay, marami siyang curve na meron. So, paano mo nalaman kung anong curve yung gagamitin? Pupunta ka nga dun sa table D1.3. Nasa ilalim lang naman yon. So, makikita nyo dyan na lahat ng steel na meron, iba't ibang material yung meron eh. Pero yung steels, nandun lang siya sa curve 1. So, ibig sabihin, yung curve 1 yung gagamitin natin. Okay? So, si curve 1, paano natin gagamitin si curve 1? Makikita nyo, si x-axis, yung x-axis natin sa baba, W over D yun, tapos yung y-axis natin or vertical axis natin, yun yung hahanapan natin ng KT. So, paano natin siya iintindihin? Kunin muna natin si W over D. So, in our case, yung width natin, i-divide natin sa diameter ng butas. Okay? So, i-divide natin siya. In this case, meron tayong 1.9. So pupunta kayo sa baba nung figure natin or nung graph natin, in a way, graph yun eh. Punta kayo sa baba, puntahan nyo yung 1.9. So, malamang sa malamang yan, that is the line before 2.0. Okay? So, ngayon, yung line, vertical line ng 1.9, susundan nyo yun hanggat pakapunta kayo sa curve number 1. Okay? So, sa curve number 1, yung point na mag-intersect yung 1.9 mo tsaka curve number 1 mo, dun ka magbabasa ng KT mo. Papapuntahin mo siya sa left side. Okay? So, pag binasa natin yan, it is roughly 0.98. Okay? In our case, if ever pagbabasahin ko kayo sa graph during your assessments, medyo malabo nga kasi si graph. So, in our case, ang mangyayari po niyan, meron akong possible tolerance. More or less, kumbaga, plus minus dun sa possible yung mababasa. Of course, dapat pasok dun sa meron kayong table. Okay? In our case, yung figure D1.12. Okay? So, may makuha kayong KT. In turn, ipapasok nyo lang dyan yung dun sa values natin or sa formulas natin. So, meron tayong ultimate load na makukuha. Mapapansin nyo, malapit pa rin naman siya dun sa nakuha natin sa tension failure. And you will also have a MS na 0.43 something. Okay? So, pasok pa rin. Kinonsider lang natin yung stress concentration. Ngayon, punta tayo sa next failure. Before we go to the next failure, sorry. Again, sinasabi dyan na yung MS natin for fittings in general, kailangan 0.15. Hindi na natin kailangan sundan yung 0.25 kasi yung 0.25 dun sa tension failure is dahil may stress concentration. Kaya lang ngayon, dun sa tension next section ng method 2, kinonsider mo na ngayon stress concentration eh. So ngayon, kahit yung 0.15 lang, yung sundan natin okay lang. Ibig sabihin, pag gumamit ka ng KT, pwede kang magpaliit until sa MS na 0.15. Okay, yun yung idea there. So doon naman tayo sa shear bearing strength. So sa shear bearing strength, doon siya sa papalitan niya yung shear out failure sa method 1. So whereas yung KBRU natin is shear bearing efficiency factor. So paano basahin ulit yon? So puntahan nyo, same page naman tayo dun sa kanina, 940 pa rin, pero sa right side tayo. Sa right side, mayroon kang figure D 1.13 doon. Ang kakailanganin mo, munang kunin, is yung D over T mo or diameter over thickness, tsaka yung E over D mo. Yung E mo, if you remember, yung distance mo from the center of the hole papunta sa edge nung body mo, and yung diameter mo, yung D. So, kunin mo muna yung values na yan. Bakit? If you look at the figure ng D1.13, meron kang tatlo. Yung left side mo is yung KBRU, yung nasa baba mo, D over T. Yung E over D mo, yun yung may numbers dyan. Tignan nyo maigi. Yung less than 2, tapos 3, 4, 5, marami yun. Okay? I think as much as 20 or 15. Kailangan mo kasi munang malaman yung ratio ng diameter to your thickness. Okay? Para malaman mo kung anong curve yung gagamitin. Para siyang yung table 1, table D1.3. Pero in our case, i-compute natin siya. Kasi para malaman mo kung ano yung gagamiting curve. Kumbaga, kung kanina nakadepende siya sa material, sa tension net, dito sa shear bearing strength, nakadepende siya dun sa diameter, sa dimensions mo. Okay? So ngayon, yun yung D over T. So in our case, 1.666 siya. So ang gagamitin natin curve, tingnan nyo dun sa figure, yung pinakauna, less than or equal to 2. So yun yung curve na gagamitin natin. Pagdating naman sa E over D, yun yung nasa ilalim. So puntahan nyo yung 0.95, somewhere sa 0.95, susundan nyo yung linya nun. Until mag-intersect ka dun sa curve ng less than or equal to 2. Same idea katulad sa kanina. Yung intersection nun, pupunta ka ngayon sa left side, yun mo babasahin yung KBRU. So si KBRU mababasa natin from the figure or from the graph na 0.8. So si 0.8 i-multiply lang natin sa FTU and of course sa yung ating 0.625 na area and sa 0.35 na thickness. Okay, sorry, 0.625 na butas and 0.375 na thickness. Okay? Ngayon, FTU yung gagamitin natin dyan. Okay? FTU yung gagamitin po natin dyan. Hindi katulad sa shear out na yung FSU yung ginamit. Okay? So, we would have a ultimate load na 23,437.5. So, magkakaroon tayo ng MS dito na 0.3. Ngayon, we should note na yung method 1 natin, yung shear out strength ng method 2 is mas malaki compared sa method 1. If you remember, yung method 1 kasi natin nag-negative eh. Dito sa method 2, meron tayong 0.3. Yun yung sinasabi natin na pagdating sa method 1, karamihan kasi doon quick approximate lang. At the same time, you are considering nga na yung figure mo, for example sa method 1, shear out lang yung i-consider mo. Pagdating sa rather shear strength lang nung material yung i-consider mo. Unlike sa method 2, pansinin mo sa method 2, yung kino-consider mo is yung tension or yung ultimate tension ng material. Kasi yun yung nakaka-affect dun sa shear bearing mo eh. Dun nang gagaling eh. Dun nang gagaling in a way. Kasi sabay-sabay nangyari nga yung tension dun sa method 2. So kaya sa method 2, FTU yung ginamit. So in our case, mas reliable yung method 2 pagdating sa shear out. Okay? Madalas yan, mas reliable talaga si method 2 kasi kino-consider mo na nga yung stress concentration tsaka yung sabay-sabay na nangyayari. Also, alam natin na yung 0.15, that is the general factor margin of safety na meron dapat ang fitting, so pasok pa rin naman si 0.3. Okay? Then lastly, dun tayo sa bushing yield. So, bushing yield is, ito na yung equation na gagamitin natin. 1.85 as is yan, constant yan. And meron tayong FCY na gagamitin, i-multiply natin sa area. So, si FCY, given natin siya kanina. Given siya sa sample problem natin mismo. Pero sir, ano po ba si FCY? Si FCY, that is the compressive yield strength ng material natin. So, in this case, si bushing. Sir, bakit si bushing? Yung umiipit, or rather, yung material na naiipit natin, is yung bushing. Iniipit siya ng bolt, tsaka ng plate mo. So, from the essence of the FCY itself, compressive. Ibig sabihin, iniipit mo. Ano yung material na naiipit mo? Again, pag kinonsider natin si compressive, kadalasan, meron kang force from two sides di ba? Two sides. So, pag kinocompress mo yung material, in our case, kinocompress siya ng bolt, tsaka ng plate, kinocompress yung bushing. So, yung capacity ng bushing itself, para hindi siya numipes. Yun yung idea ng bushing yield. Okay? Yun yung idea ng bushing yield. So, we have here yung bushing yield natin na FCY na 113. So, meron tayong equation na gagamitin na 1.85 times yung FCY ABR. So, yung A natin dyan is, again, what would be most critical? Yung area ng bolt. Kasi yun yung mas maliit. Okay? Also, yung thickness as is naman. Ngayon, meron tayong FBRY or yield bearing load na meron tayo for bushing yield na 39 something and MS na makukuha ang 1.1 something. What would this entail? Itong MS na to. Ibig sabihin, napakalayo pa natin dun sa load na kakayanan ng material. Ibig sabihin, napakalayong numipes. So, the idea there kasi, for example, yung bushing natin, so let me draw. Yung bushing mo, meron kang cylindrical, di ba? Si bushing, cylindrical shape siya. So, dahil meron kang bolt, iibahin ko yung kulay ng bolt para maintindihan. So, ito yung bolt, tas ito yung plate, material mo. So, let's just say, i-compress mo nga yung bolt mo, papunta dun sa punta sa bushing, tapos ito naman din yung sa bushing papunta sa plate. So yung yellow part na yan, yun yung parang nagko-compress dun sa pinakang bushing mo in one side. Okay? Ibig sabihin, malayo pa naman yung load mo in a way na hindi mo kayang mapanipes yung bushing itself. Okay? Yun yung idea ng bushing yield. Bakit? If you remember yung idea ulit ng yield, ang yield is before ka magkaroon ng permanent deformation. Diba? So, ibig sabihin, pwede pang bumalik yung capacity ng yung material mo dun sa yield mo before ka pa mag-yield. Okay? So, before we go to the general conclusion, bakit ba natin inaalam yung lahat ng MS ng kada failure? Inaalam natin yung MS ng kada failure para malaman natin kung mag-fail man or hindi yung fitting mo, at the same time kung gaano kalaki yung magnitude nung sobra or nung failure mo. Kasi malamang sa malamang either may sobra siya or may kulang siya dun sa standards. Okay? So in a way, kapag ka-general conclusion mo lahat ng mga MS mo, in our case, sa sample problem, lahat ng margin of safeties natin are positive. Ibig sabihin, walang masisira. But, pwede natin i-redesign yung ating figures, or rather, ating dimensions para magkaroon tayo ng saving in weight. At the same time, mas malapit tayo dun sa MS na standard. Bakit? Hindi naman natin kailangan sobrahan ng malaki yung mga MS natin eh. Para lang mapatibay siya. Kaya nga, in a way, kaya nga tayo may standard na 0.15 lang, that is enough. Sobrang-sobra naman na si 0.15 eh. Kasi, si 0.15 mo, yun na yung para sa design fitting mo, then, nakasobra pa yun dun sa 1.5 ng general aviation factor of safety. Di ba? So, ibig sabihin, pag sinama mo na yung 0.15 tsaka yung 0.5, sobra-sobra na siya. Kapag sinobrahan mo pa siya doon, parang possible na mas bibigat pa yung parts mo. So, hanggat maaari, ilapit mo na dun sa MS na standard para malaman, para pwedeng makapag-save ka nung weight mo. Okay? So, dito, in our sample problem, pinakita yung possible changes mo, kay possible edit mo dun sa design. Okay? Sa redesign mo. So, first, we have moving the hole slightly at the back of the center of the log radius would help with the shear out strength. So, as I said kanina, kapag inatras mo yung butas ng hole mo, mas marami yung magiging area na magiging magre-resist nung shear out mo. Okay? So, yun yung pag-help dun sa shear out. Bakit shear out? Shear out yung isa sa mga method 1, yun nga yung nag-negative. Pangalawa, sa method 2, yun yung 0.3 lang. So, malapit siya sa 0.15. Di ba? Also, yung pag-move mo nung butas mo would permit to the decreasing of thickness. Kasi, pag inatras mo na siya, lalaki yung widths mo, dun sa shear out, pwede mong paliitin yung thickness mo. Pwede yan sa log A or log B, kahit anong thickness ng log, depende ka kung anong critical. Also, kapag na-decrease ka na ng thickness, possibly, yung pag-decrease mo ng thickness, mas liliit yung moment arm mo. So also, pag tinignan mo kasi sa kanina, yung bending bolt bending strength natin is 0.12 lang. In a way, hindi siya masisira, pero below na siya sa standard natin. Okay? Ngayon, also, kaya mas gusto natin na pag nililitan natin yung thickness natin, diliit si moment arm, lalaki si MS. Also, kapag ka nag-permit tayo ng less thickness, pwede tayong magpaliit ng diameter ng bolt natin. Okay? Yun yung possible redesign na pwede natin gawin. So, yun yung essence kasi ng pag-alam ng mga margin of safeties natin eh. Na pwede tayong magkaroon ng efficiency dun sa design natin. Okay? So, this would end our discussion for fittings and connections. So, hopefully nga, nakadagdag to sa mga possible na kaalaman natin sa fittings and connections. Also, paki-aral na lang to dahil ito ang gagamitin natin for the next assessment natin. Okay? So, thank you for listening and I hope you have understood the topic that I have discussed.